È una bellissima giornata sotto i cieli del Monte Calabro, a passeggio in riva al mare, dalla marina alla montagna, a godermi tutte le bellezze del mio caro paesello dove io sono nato. Paese del cuore mio tanto amato, io ti ringrazio immensamente, ma prima, il cuore mio ringrazia la mammina mia cara, che mi portò al mondo. Grazie donne, grazie padri, grazie mammina mia cara, tu che hai sofferto tanto per darmi il tuo migliore in quella casa fredda, stringendo mal tuo cuore, sperando che domani il migliore poi verrà. Mamma, tu mi hai dato il meglio sulla terra, tu mi hai dato il tuo cuore, tu mi hai dato la tua vita. Voi mamme preziose, siete tutto in questo mondo, siete la luce del pianeta, siete la vita della terra. Triste questa vita, quando penso nel passato, la mammina che diceva: attenzione figlio caro, attenzione dove vai, attenzione con chi vai, non ti filare mai. Paese del cuore mio tanto amato, io ti ringrazio immensamente, ma prima, il cuore mio ringrazia la mammina mia cara, che mi portò al mondo. Grazie donne, grazie padri, grazie mammina mia cara, tu che hai sofferto tanto per darmi il tuo migliore in quella casa fredda, stringendo mal tuo cuore, sperando che domani il migliore poi verrà. Mamma, tu mi hai dato il meglio nella vita, tu mi hai dato il tuo cuore, tu mi hai dato il tuo amore. Voi mamme preziose, siete tutto in questo mondo, siete la luce del pianeta, siete la vita della terra. Voi mamme preziose, siete tutto in questo mondo, siete la luce del pianeta, siete la vita della terra. Grazie mamma, grazie padre, grazie mamma, mammina mia cara, mammina mia cara.
All right. Good evening, all. That is a new song by Dad, written and composed by Dad, for real, It's called My Dearest Mommy, or My Dear Little Mommy, translated from Italian. That is from his new movie called The Value of Life. I've spoken about that before, and he's looking for a distributor. It's called The Value of Life, and I actually just showed it to my son and his and my ex-wife, and they loved it. So it's a feel-good story. Hopefully one day you guys will get to see it. Filmed entirely in Italia. The Value of Life, Il Valore della Vita, a timely story in today's violent world. All right, so I like to start these off with a quick joke. So yesterday, I am so proud of myself. Yesterday, I went jogging 5 miles, but I was so pissed off because the ice cream truck wouldn't stop. So, all right, where's my wine? Cody's in the house. Hi, Cody. How are you, bud? Actually, I could use a Klondike right now. I'll have to get some tomorrow. But anyway, here's a toast to all the mommies out there. Moms are the best. And thank you, Mom. All right, so this is Late Night with yours truly, Total OS, for tonight. The OS stands for operating systems, and we talk about everything related to technology usually. If you like these live chats and would like to see more, consider subscribing and donating to the live chats. There are links below in the show notes for PayPal and Patreon and all that. And if you would like to sponsor a live event with the topic of your choice that is relevant in today's world, it does not necessarily have to be about technology, but I will be happy to talk about it. I have a little bit of advantage because I have a friend of mine in Florida who is a psychotherapist, and I've learned a lot from her about today's changing world. So, if you'd like to sponsor a live show, let me know. We'll schedule a date. You can be on it, and you can remain completely anonymous if you choose to. Again, it does not necessarily have to be about technology all the time. So Cody says, doing well. Hope you're doing well. Toss, yes, I am. Doing better. Recovered. You guys may know some months ago I had a surgery for a hernia. Went well. But after that, my lower back was giving me problems again. So going to see a chiropractor for that. That's getting better, not as bad. I go see my family doctor Tuesday, probably for some physical therapy and some specific exercises. I'm trying to avoid shots and pills and all that. I'm a more natural Italian. Hence, I drink natural red wine. Haha. Cheers to all the Linux users out there, by the way. And thank you to all of developers for almost 20 years of Linux for me. Tonight we are streaming live from Linux Mint. No Wayland. Boo. I was trying to use Wayland today in Ubuntu, and the software Audacity would not work. But that's another story altogether. So tonight I'm drinking wine. There are some big news items to talk about, but first a little sip. If anybody's watching who is new, by the way, and wants to say hello, please do. Even if you don't use Linux or thinks that Linux sucks, that's okay. It's all right. Maybe you can explain why you think that way. Maybe we can help you out. But if you don't use Linux at all, but wanted to stop by or have a question, please do. I have no ego to bruise. Anyway, salute. Yummy. Delicious wine. All right, so I will keep track of the chat. Let's see. Rossi's in the house. Hope you're doing well tonight. I am. I love these late night shows. Thank you so much. And did I pick up the wine? Absolutely. I am drinking it now. The wine, and I do drink a lot of wine. I mean, I'm not addicted to it, but I do drink a lot. That's my weakness. It's not booze or liquor or vodka or shots. It's red wine. And thanks to donations from people like you, in this case one person, and that's Tim. Thanks to donations like that, I'm able to have an unlimited supply of wine. Not the Linux wine. I'm talking the real wine, for Pete's sake. But yes, I am enjoying my wine, Rossi. Thank you so much for asking. I should have got some 7-Up, pour in it, and sprinkle this and make what's called a spritzer, I think. Yeah, it's called spritzer, right? All right, so what are the two biggest news articles items for the last week or two? Well, and in no particular order, the big news that Google released a statement or let it sneak out that in the future they will be combining their Chromebooks, or combining Android and Chrome OS into one, I guess, Android OS, which is fine with me. I love my Chromebook. When I use it, I never have to use the terminal. Like never had to fix anything. It's the fastest Linux I've ever tested, ran, easy to use. Everything just works. Truly a masterpiece of Linux technology, a form of Linux. Of course, Chrome OS is a modified version of Gentoo, I do believe. But yeah, and I'm sure the streamlining of the Chrome OS Android will probably take years, but that's okay. I don't think it'll take 20 years like Wayland for Linux. What a joke that is. Seriously, almost 20-year-old Wayland display driver. That's the future of Linux. Well, somebody's drinking too much wine, and it's not only me. Haha. But yeah, so one of the news items. The merging of Android and Chrome OS into one for the Chromebooks, I think is fantastic. It really is one of the easiest Linux for Windows users. Yeah, it just works, and it's and no fragmentation. And the last year. And the only year we had, the year of the Linux desktop, was, do you guys want to take a guess? It was during the pandemic. All right, so Rossi says, did you know the Lenovo Legion Go Portable is running Ubuntu? The logo flashes at boot up. Well, that's cool. I have a Lenovo Chromebook, 4K touchscreen. I don't use the touchscreen that much, Rossi. Great machine. Chromebooks just work. There's nothing to fix. There's no Wayland display driver issues. Just today, when I was running Ubuntu with Wayland, Audacity wouldn't work. I mean, this is 2025. And the Linux developers are pushing a piece of technology that doesn't work. Calm down, Toss. Drink some more wine. Breathe. Breathe. Yes, Cody says he loves the ThinkPad E15 Gen 2. I don't know if you have Linux on it. I do on mine. In fact, on my older ThinkPad, I have a 32-bit Linux running. Believe it or not, it just works. But yeah, Chromebooks, they truly are the Linux standard for the masses. So the other news article you may have seen, and it's rather important, the Linux desktop for the masses apparently has hit 5%. I think it's over 10% if you count Chromebooks, and you just have to. So having Chromebooks, or Linux in general, what I believe to be closer to 10%, I think it's fantastic. But does anybody here know the answer? When was the only year of the Linux desktop? Yeah, Cody says, haven't gotten a dummy audio output. Yeah, when I tried Ubuntu 22.04, I had no sound, and the output read dummy output. Well, thank you, Ubuntu. Same to you. No problem since. To be fair to Ubuntu, they got that fixed, but there's none of that nonsense in Chrome OS. It just works. Yeah, Cody says 5% only in the US. Yeah, I think it's closer to 10% when you count a Chromebook, Cody. All right, the answer. When was the true year of the Linux desktop? Okay. Well, I think it was during the pandemic, 2020, 2021, when Chromebooks outsold Macs. Now, let that sink in for a second. Ready? Apple, the tech giant of the world, worth $5 gazillion, or maybe it's 6 by now. Chromebooks, Linux-powered Chromebooks outsold Macs Little unknown little Linux Chromebooks outsold Macs. It was only for a year, but that was the year of the Linux desktop, and it has not been repeated since. Now, I would love for Linux Mint computers to outsell Macs, Ubuntu, heck, even Arch if it works, but it ain't going to happen. So this talk of the year of Linux desktop, it did happen, but it was about 4 or 5 years ago. Chromebooks, Linux machines outsold Macs. If I would have said that 10 years ago, I'm sure you guys would have said, Toss, what are you smoking, man? But it happened, and I think it's fantastic. I wish it would continue. I wish we had more. But as Linus Torvalds said, the father of Linux, as he said, fragmentation destroyed the Linux desktop for the masses. Well, maybe not so much now, but that's what hindered it, and it was really Chromebooks, because there's only one Chrome OS. There's not 50 forks of it. It just works. Now, Chromebooks are not customizable, to be truthful about this, but they are not meant to be, so you can't screw it up. But that was when we had the year of the Linux desktop in 2021, I believe, or 2020, somewhere around there, where Chromebooks outsold Apple Macs. Hence, the potential power of Linux. And that's a fact, Jack. All right, some more wine. And cheers to everyone joining me here tonight in the chat room. Once again, if there is anybody new watching and wants to say hello or have a question, please do. I mean, look, I do this for you guys because I know you guys like to chat and jump in this, and and it is my honor to be here to chat with you guys. All right, let's see what else I have in mind. I was shopping for a new computer. Everything I have is over 10 years old. And thankfully, some forms of Linux have been gracefully able to extend the life of these machines. But you could only squeeze so much horsepower out of outdated machines. Well, I had my hernia surgery. My out-of-pocket cost for that was more than I thought. And that's another thing that needs to be fixed in the US of A, but that's a different topic altogether. I decided to buy a new bed. I was having lower back issues. I had some compression or disc narrowing. I'm not a doctor. Between the L3 and L4 discs. No surgery is necessary, but I think my 20-year-old bed has something to do with that. It was time to buy a new bed, and a good bed isn't cheap. It's close to $1,000 for a decent queen-size bed. That pretty much wiped out my budget between that and my surgery. That wiped out the budget for the year for me shopping for a new computer. So I'm still stuck with these old machines this year for now, but we'll see how things go. Maybe someone will anonymously donate to the channel and I can upgrade all this. But thanks to Linux, I'm able to extend the life of these machines, and even thanks to Windows 11, but more so Linux. So that's what's going on for me in the Linux world. Man, it is. I am so tempted to buy a new machine with a Ryzen 7 and the 4000 series graphics card. They run about $1,500. So tempting to have something that's just faster for video rendering. Not so much for live streaming. This what I have can handle it, but it's so tempting to get something new and fast. But I always believe in taking care of yourself first. You take care of yourself, your health first, and then comes the technology. All right, Cody says you got a queen mattress on Amazon for about $500. Yeah, for a decent one, that's where they start at. Yes. And have you noticed these newer ones? They're not flat anymore. They're not. You don't buy them flat. They're like rolled up like a giant pepperoni roll. I'd never seen anything like it. And then they unfold quickly. And you have to be careful because it's like a weapon. I mean, it's weird. but it works. So I bought a, I'll probably do a video about that. I bought a Somos brand. I try to buy locally when I can, to like a local family mom and pop store. We don't have that here, so plan B is to buy American. So I bought Somos, a Somos bed. And I believe it's all U.S. Made, as far as I know. Somos bed. I'll have to look at it, but yep, it does feel more comfy. My back seems to be in less pain waking up in the morning. Anyway, so that's a little bit of bedding technology. Yeah, yours are rolled up and no air. Break the seal, it unfolds, and yeah. Rossi says, is that a mattress with a pillow top surface? Yeah, it has the I don't have it. I don't have the box. It's like a plush padding. What they call a plush. You can buy one that's totally flat. I bought the next one up with a what they call plush padding. And I'm not an expert on mattresses, but yeah, I guess it's similar to like a pillow top. It molds to your body, and I have been waking up in the morning with less back pain. So it was definitely time to buy a new one after 20. I also bought a box spring too, Ross. I figured if I'm going to buy it all. I bought a mattress pad too, so I have it all, and yeah, it seems to be working. So we don't often think about bedding until we wake up with a sore back or sore something. It was time. Mine does not have the memory foam. It has coils, I think, or something like that. Anyway, it's good enough for the money that I paid. I think it has a 10-year warranty and all that stuff. So, but it was tempting. I was tempted to buy that computer, but I couldn't do it. My health comes first. Anyway. Oh no, Cody, you had a hand-me-down mattress and the spring poking out, stabbing you at night. No, not good. That's almost as bad as Arch Linux with bugs. Ha ha. Yeah, Rossi, you mentioned Cache Linux, trending. I don't know anything about that. What is that based on? Is that based on Debian, Ubuntu? I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it. It's built on Arch. Look out. Look out. The last time I tried Arch based, I turned on the AUR, which I like to refer to it as the Arch Useless Repository, because when I turned that sucker on, the machine was unusable. The OS was unusable. So I'm surprised that's trending, because if somebody turns on that sucker, they're in for a world of hurt. That AUR is not stable. But hey, if it works for some people, I think that's awesome. Use what works. Yeah, Cody remembers the joke with a fire extinguisher. Yes, I do remember turning on the AUR. Cody remembers this, and it popped up with the warning. Warning, turning on the AUR may blow up the house or catch fire. But of course, I came with my fire extinguisher. Cody remembers that joke. Yeah, I can. This channel really is built for Linux newbies, all 1 billion of those Windows users, and I cannot in good conscience recommend Arch. Not for a newbie. Now, if you're experienced, sure, but not for a newbie. It's not going to work. They're going to be very unhappy and say Linux sucks. Well, some Linux sucks, true, but not all of it. So yeah, stick with Ubuntu or Windows, Cody, and I completely agree. Windows works. It does. Debloat it and it's fine, you know. Rossi, that is true. Chrome OS is not built for deep customization. That is true. It's not really a problem because it's not a flaw. It's not a bug. It's how it was designed. And you're right. For efficiency, it's the most efficient Linux out there. Why? Because you never have to use the terminal. But if you like to customize, it's not for you. Right. But most Windows users probably don't even know what customizing means. If I had to guess. Yeah, Cody says tired of trying distros for 13 years. Yeah, I stopped distro hopping after 10 years of using Linux because all I was doing was distro hopping from bugs, hopping to bugs, and hopping to bugs. It was ridiculous. Now, I'm glad I did because I learned a lot. I don't regret it, but at some point you got to stop. And out of the hundreds and hundreds, almost 1,000, when you count the forks of Linux-based systems, maybe 5, and Chromebooks are one of them, maybe 5 can really compete with your Windows and MacBooks of the world. That's not a lot, but that's all you need. You only need the one, right? And Chromebooks really do rock. Yeah, Cody says you got less time to screw with your OS. Look, post-pandemic, as we all went through hell, I caught it, I recovered, I lost family members, friends from COVID. Post-pandemic, we value our precious time even more. And we don't want to waste time solving puzzles, fixing Linux. That's why I like Chromebooks. I wish Chromebooks had a version of OBS Studio and Kdenlive. They don't. That's kind of like what holds me back. Not a flaw, that's just the way it is. But if they had that, I would use Chrome OS all the time. Yeah, what video rendering software? Usually Kdenlive for both Linux or Windows, sometimes Shotcut. But Kdenlive seems stable enough for both Linux, at least the Linux Mint and Ubuntu, and it's fine in Windows too. I wish Chromebooks had a version of that. Maybe with this merging of Android and Chrome OS, maybe we'll see that. Now for content consumers, Chromebooks are perfect. For content creators, maybe not so much. Again, not a design flaw, just the way it was designed. Current Chromebooks are designed that way. But yeah, Kdenlive and or Shotcut seems to be the two most stable and not super resource hungry. Although having machines that are over 10 years old, again, you can only squeeze so much horsepower out of the damn things. So yeah. Yeah, Samsung DeX, Samsung Desktop, I've heard of that, yeah. Yeah, with the next Ubuntu getting rid of Wayland, I think is a big mistake. I don't know how much that will hurt Ubuntu. I guess we'll have to wait and see, but Wayland is not it. It's not ready. It is not the future. If something takes almost 20 years to make it barely usable, that's not the future. I'm sorry. So, well, yeah, getting rid of Zorg, sorry, and keeping Wayland, yeah, but yeah, just this morning I could not use the software Audacity logging into Wayland. What good is Wayland if you can't use the software that you need to use? I don't know. I don't think it's just me. So Wayland, I think Wayland's a joke. I think Linux users are being suckered into this, thinking this is it. No, it's not. If the software doesn't work, well, give it more time. Oh, you mean like another 20 years? Come on, let's get real, shall we? Don't lie to users. Don't lie to Windows users who are considering Linux. Don't use Wayland. Period. Now, there's something new called Ex Libre. Maybe that's it. I really don't know. I don't know. Yeah, if it works for you, use it. And that includes Wayland. Absolutely. But screen recording for me in Wayland does not work. Audacity does not work. What's the point? For me, not as a content creator, not a consumer. Content consumer is totally different, and maybe Wayland is fine for that. Anyway, that's my thought about all this Wayland nonsense. You know, can you imagine if Windows made a statement, hey, the 20-year-old Waylinux display driver is almost ready. What? 20 years old? Yes, Arnold, I know. Wayland, it must be terminated. Yes, Arnold, thank you. So, good old Arnold. You know, I started this channel back in 2010 to try and eliminate the confusion about Linux for Windows users. So much misinformation in 2010 or not enough. I think it's gone worse. I hate to say that, but Windows users are not being told the entire truth, the entire set of facts. And that's why you still have a billion Windows users. But I've done my part. I do what I can. So one of the top Linux-based systems in the world and for Windows users, besides the Chromebook, has to be Linux Mint. Using that tonight. On a machine from 2011. That's right, Linux Mint on a machine that had Windows 7 for tonight's live show. You'd have to put Linux Mint up there as a true possible replacement for Windows 10. You just have to. Another one maybe is Zorin OS. Maybe. Of course, Chrome OS. That's 3. Maybe Ubuntu Mate. That's 4. And you guys can add one more. All right. I just realized I'm down to half a bottle of wine left. Oh, that should be enough. Sometimes I'll go to my neighbor's house. They have a hot tub, jacuzzi, like in the back of their house. So usually what I'll do is I'll go in the hot tub, come out, and then I'll have Jack Daniels and Pepsi to cap off the evening. We don't talk about Linux at my neighbor's house because if I say the word Linux, my retired neighbors would respond with, yeah. I don't think they even have, okay, they have one laptop that they seldom use. So not too much Linux talks here in town. Yeah, this is not the area for it. So. All right, let's see. I had another jogging joke. I was so proud of myself the other day. I jogged 5 times around the block. But I got to tell you, it was so exhausting, I put the block back in the toy box. Bada-boom. Psh. The last time I went to Walmart, I browsed their computer section. They still had 8 different Chromebooks for sale. Think about it. A stinking Walmart. Not exactly the technology store. In a steel mill town, 8 different Chromebooks to choose from. Not bad. Not bad at all. Rossi says, you thought Chrome OS now supported the Play Store? Yes, absolutely. If so, Power Director is a very special app for video and photo production with special effects. I believe I did take a look at Power Director. It is good for what it does, but it's not quite as full-featured as Kdenlive. But yes, I did try it, and it does work. I think for me, Rossi, I've been so comfortable using Kdenlive for years and years. I don't want to switch. Nothing against Power Director, but I've been so used to Kdenlive that I just don't want to do anything else. So, but yes, Power Director does work. I just prefer Kdenlive. Yeah. Like I said, maybe with this merger of Android into Chrome OS, maybe we'll have a Kdenlive for Chromebooks, or OBS Studio, or anything else. But yeah, it's basically 2 pieces of software: OBS Studio and Kdenlive. If those were available or had Chromebook counterparts, I would stick with Chrome OS because I never have to fix anything. But it's not there, at least not yet. But that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. I think for most Windows users who consume content that don't create or podcast like I do, I think Chromebooks are fine. They probably don't need all that other software, right? You know, a web browser, probably number one. Microsoft apps they can use online, play music. And now with the Chromebooks Plus, and really all the Chromebooks now give you 10 years of support. Think about it. You can buy a $200 Linux-powered machine that gives you automatically 10 years or more of support. No other Linux machine is going to do that. Now, I know Chromebooks are not for everyone. Fair enough. I agree. But that is the, as I say, the potential power of Linux. And by the way, you can install OBS Studio and Kdenlive in a Chromebook. It's not going to work, but you can install it. I've seen videos where this is how you install OBS Studio. Yeah, but it doesn't work. I got to be careful what I say. This is a family show. Again, so much misinformation for Windows users. It doesn't help. It really doesn't help Windows users. So Linux, strictly Linux channels are designed for Linux users. You know. Anyway, not here. I often think of the scene in the movie A Few Good Men when Jack Nicklaus says, "You can't handle the truth." Well, we can handle it here, right? Yeah, Android has KineMaster and Adobe. Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. I just prefer Kdenlive, Rossi. Yeah. Again, just a personal preference. Again, the casual Windows 10 user whose machine the software is going to expire this year, you know, who just want to get on the web, and or a school student or a nurse or whatever, checks their email, types a few letters, a few emails. They're not going to need Kdenlive or Adobe. The Chromebook is perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with that. And to not have to worry about it for 10 years, that's a hell of a statement, you know. So, yeah. I'm glad to see that Linux Mint has not fully adopted Wayland display driver. They release when ready, not on a set schedule. Super smart, you know. And I believe with their in Linux Mint Mate, Wayland option isn't even there. Smart. I think it is in Cinnamon. Don't know about XFCE version. But I trust Linux Mint. They know what's going on. Another app I use to catch up on the news is, was it Newsflash, Newsmax, Newsflash, something like that. Newsflash. You guys may want to check that out. Keep up with my news feeds. I like that one. I've noticed some of the newer Chromebooks, the high-end ones, are approaching the $1,000 range. I don't see that being that successful because now you're approaching MacBook territory, and we don't need another version of a Mac per se. Just like a lot of Linux machines, when you look at them, they're $1,000 and up. That doesn't make any sense to me. The point of Linux in general is to make it more accessible and affordable to the Windows masses. And once you pass that $400 threshold, I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to succeed that much. Speculating here, you know, 400 really is the sweet spot, maximum for a Linux-powered machine. And that's why Chromebooks have been so successful. You can pick up a Chromebook Plus that's super speedy easily for $400. Yes, you can install Linux apps through the development option Crostini on Chromebook. That is true. And it's still somewhat experimental, but for the most part it does work. Now specific apps may not work, but yeah, that's actually a nice option, you know. I don't think I have that enabled in my Chromebook, again because of OBS Studio mainly. But it's there if you want to mess with it, sure. Now for Windows users trying that, if you enable that and the apps don't work, that's okay. You're not going to break anything. So don't. Windows user tried Linux environment on a Chromebook. As far as I could tell, it's perfectly safe. It's not going to break anything. Either the app works or it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, I believe that is sandboxed. So you should be okay. Don't panic about using the terminal on a Chromebook. You don't have to. And that's the beauty of a Chromebook. Metal Music. Good evening, mate. I don't have any metal music tonight, but I have my dad's tunes. Really? It took you 45 minutes for you to get a notification on YouTube? I am so sorry for that, metal music. Yeah, I've been here at least that long. Well, I'm glad you're here. Yeah, I don't, post-pandemic metal, I don't have a set schedule anymore. I mean, in the past when I had anonymous sponsors for live shows, that's when I scheduled them. But not so much post-pandemic. But like I said, if anybody sponsors a live show, then I'll have a schedule. But that's the main reason why. But I'm glad of course, you can replay these, when I'm done. And I will have the no ads version of these shows on the Patreon page, or if you're a member of the Tossed Today family. But thank you for being here. Okay, you're still on Arch and no Windows for you. Okay, I have to ask you a question. When you turned on the AUR, and I'll be honest, for me it's the Arch Useless Repository. When you turned that on, did you start having some problems? And I'll trust you if you say no, but just be honest. Did you have problems after you turned on the AUR? I did. And it was a nightmare. I just stopped. It just wasn't fun anymore using Manjaro. All right. Yeah, Rossi. Chromebooks are secure. Best battery, seamless, and always fast. 100%. Agree with you. As far as I could tell, there has never been a reported ransom attack on a Chromebook. Like, zero. That's incredible. All right, so sometimes it depends what you install, but you're also careful what you install, talking about the AUR. Fair enough. Okay. Yeah, I really cannot recommend any Arch-based system for a Windows or Linux newbie. I don't think that would be fair. Now, if somebody has experience a few years, and then of course you can do what you want. But for new Windows newbies, Linux newbies, I don't think it's fair or right to recommend any Arch-based system. Yes, a newbie should not use Arch, given how much knowledge you need on some knowledge on what you need and on what to do. Look, if you tell a newbie try Arch, what do you think is going to happen? Boy, this Linux sucks. Well, that's not a fair statement. You can say some Linux sucks, sure, but just don't give them Arch. Honestly, if you want to play it safe and somebody's thinking about ditching Windows, just hand them your Chromebook. Even if it's not for them, I guarantee you they will not say the Chromebook sucks. Guaranteed. Now, they may say, well, gee, I wish I could do this or that, but will they say it sucks? Probably not. I mean, what are they going to say if you hand someone a Chromebook? Really? This boots in 5 seconds? Well, that sucks. I don't think they're going to say that. I don't have to use the terminal? Well, that sucks. I don't think they're going to say that, Oh, wow, you've been using Linux since 2000. Well, that's longer than me with Red Hat. Okay. Where is the Chromebook desktop for the 4090's GPU? I have no idea, to be quite honest. Yeah. I have an older Lenovo gaming, I think they call it Stadia? I don't think they make it anymore. It would be comparable to your Chromebooks Plus today. That's what I have. 4K, touchscreen. The screen flips, you can flip it to a 2-in-1. It's, to me, is a gimmick, But, yeah, I don't know about that, Rossi. Okay, so you have a 5080. Works well for gaming on Wayland. Great. Yeah. I was trying to use Wayland this morning on Ubuntu, and the software Audacity did not work. Logged out, logged into Zorg, no problem. I've been okay, Metal Music. Thank you for asking. Overall, not too bad. I had a hernia surgery back in April. That actually went well. Took about 2 months or so, almost 3 months to recover fully. I'm able to go, running and swimming and all that stuff. The surgery went well. It was funny because when I went back for the follow-up visits, the nurse practitioner, was examining me down there. My hernia was next to my kernels. I'll just leave it at that. So she gave me a squeeze down there, and I should have said, "Doc, you want to buy me dinner first?" But she says, "Cough. Seriously, this is not a joke. Like, cough, you feel?" I said, "I don't feel anything." Okay, well, that was that. So I got done with that. Then I started having lower back problems for lack of activity after hernia surgery. I had to buy a new bed. When I bought the new bed, that wiped out my budget for a new PC. But I always believe in taking care of yourself first. So that's what's going on with me. Overall, I consider myself lucky. But thank you so much for asking. You got a hernia in your stomach, really? Yeah, I let mine go for about a year, and I was told if it gets worse, you're in trouble. And considering where it was at, I decided to have it done. Nowadays, the technology is incredible. With this robotics and anyway, local doctor, Italian of course, haha. But the first night I made a mistake. I slept downstairs on the flat carpet because I was in pain, right? But then I thought, wait, I have my lazy boy for tall men. It's kind of like Captain Kirk's captain's chair, right? So sleeping in that extended out, right? When it was time to go to the bathroom, I had to get up. I'm like, oh, the pain. And mine is empowered. Like the newer chairs, lazy boys are powered. This one you have to force yourself up with a handle. You know what I mean? Oh my God, did that hurt. I had to wiggle like a ballet dancer to get out to go take a wee. After that, I was okay. It's just things that you just never think about. But yes, taking care of yourself is number one important. Yes, I did come close to buying a computer, as I was saying. Came very close to buying a Ryzen 7 PC with a 4000 series card. But I needed a new bed and for my lower back issues, and I feel better, and I'm just going to have to wait on the PC again. But c'est la vie, such is life. All right, I'll stick around a little bit more. I'm just going to take a very, very short break here to run to the men's room. I will be right back. In the meantime, you can listen to my dad's new song, My Dearest Mother, written, composed, and sung by my dad. So enjoy it.
È una bellissima giornata, sotto Monticelli per Monte Calabro, a passeggio in riva al mare, dalla marina alla montagna, a godermi tutte le bellezze del mio caro paesello dove io sono nato. Paese del cuore mio tanto amato, io ti ringrazio immensamente, ma prima il cuore mio ringrazia la mammina mia cara, che mi portò al mondo. Grazie donne, grazie padri, grazie mamma. Mammina mia cara, tu che hai sofferto tanto per darmi il tuo migliore in quella casa fredda, stringendomi al tuo cuore, sperando che domani il migliore poi verrà. Mamma, tu mi hai dato il meglio sulla terra, tu mi hai dato il tuo cuore, tu mi hai dato la tua vita. Voi mamme preziose, siete tutto in questo mondo, siete la luce del pianeta, siete la vita preziosa, siete tutto in questo mondo, siete la luce.
Okay, I'm back. You have constant acid reflux because of hernia, but if you get it fixed, it's dangerous because if you sneeze violently, and if that happens after getting it done, that's not good. Yeah, there are different types of hernias. Mine was, anyway, it was a different kind. It wasn't that bad. In fact, I waited a year to almost have it done, and it turned out okay. I'm glad I did. And, you know, it was funny because, you know, with the USA health system, the health insurance system is a joke, as you guys well know. Those of you who live in the States, I had 3 separate bills. And I went to the hospital. I said, look, I have cash. Make me an offer I can't refuse. Give me a cash discount. And they did. So, if you ever have surgery, you have to pay out of pocket. That's thousands. Ask for a cash discount. I bet they will say yes. Never know. But, yeah, with hernias, obviously listen to your doctor's advice and do what you got to do. I chose to have it done after waiting a year. And it took about a couple months to fully recover. I'm still, you know, careful of what I lift and bending and all that, but overall I'm okay. And I'm very lucky to have a well-trained doctor from the Cleveland Clinic. Yeah, today actually I went to the, my cousin has a heated pool, private pool, so I went to that today. I was told that's one of the best things for back issues, at least in my case. It felt great. It was like in the 90s today, hot and humid, and the water was on the cool side. It felt perfect. I felt like a perfectly running Linux-based system. Haha. Alright, it is almost midnight here, local time. I'll stick around for another 10 minutes. It's about 10 till or so. I'll wrap this up at midnight, but if anybody new is watching, wants to say hello, please don't be shy. And like I said, when I started this tonight, I'm running this from Linux Mint and Mate desktop. Still one of my favorite Linux desktops after, oh God, it's been at least 15 years now. Yeah, it just, I just like it simple. Simple, fast, easy to use, customizable if you so want to. It doesn't break anything. One of the best weather apps ever for a Linux-based system in the Linux Mint Mate desktop. It just works. Somebody said, well, is it really that important? Why don't you just look out the window? Sure. While I'm doing a live show, let me just pause and get up to look out the window? No, I want to look at it on my screen. So as I started the show, the Linux desktop supposedly is at 5% in the USA. I think if you add Chromebooks, I think it's closer to 10%. What do you guys think about all this? Do you try any other distros? I have. From 2006 to 2016, I distro hopped. Like a lot. But then I realized I was just more like bug hopping than distro hopping. It didn't make sense to me. So I stopped and I settled on Ubuntu based and or Chromebooks. No more hopping. Oh, I will occasionally try and test other Linux based systems occasionally. But I always come back to my Linux Mint, my Zorins, my Chromebook. There's something about them where somebody, I think it was Cody, time is too precious to try to fix something. Just stick with one thing that works and that's it. But I used to try many other distributions, like a lot. But I stopped. It was just being silly. You find it easier to install apps with PEMEC on Arch. Okay. I do remember that. Sure, if it works, absolutely. Use what works. Yeah. For Ubuntu, I use a single terminal command to install everything. And it doesn't seem to break anything. That's not something I recommend for newbies. But that seems to work very well. Of course, with Chromebooks, there's no terminal. It's just automatic. It does it automatically. But yeah, if it works on Arch, why not? I use some Flatpaks, maybe 1 or 2 snaps when I have to. Usually try to avoid those. I do use the app image for Kdenlive, which seems to work. That seems to be the fastest. Yes, you use Arch because you can put exactly what you want. That's customization, and most Windows users probably won't even know what that means. So that's why I don't recommend Arch-based systems for newbies. And that's another thing that I think is misleading on YouTube when somebody says Linux is better than Windows. It's the best. Well, which Linux? All 1,000 versions of Linux can't be better than Windows. It doesn't make any sense. You can say some Linux may be better. Some Linux, sure, but not all versions of it. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, but that's what I try to clarify here. And I've taken some flack for it. That's okay. I'm a bigger boy. Sono cresciuto. I'm grown up. Joe Smith joined in. Hey, Joe, what's up? Great show. Thank you. Please end saying something in Italian. Thanks. Well, I will end this here in a minute or two. I'll think of something. But thanks for stopping by, Joe. I think there is or was an Italian-based Linux distribution, if I recall, some years ago. I think it was called Ravioli OS. No, it wasn't called that, but I forget what it was called. But I believe it was based in Italy. Yeah. I would say, I won't edit it yet, but I would say in Italian, Buonasera a tutti and cent'anni. Auguri. Meaning good night to all and 100 years. As in 100 years of good luck, peace, love, and all that. I think people, Italians say that while they make a toast, cent'anni. I think that was in The Godfather too. Usually when I end the show, I'll just say arrivederci. Joe, if you like Italian tunes, you should listen to my dad's tunes. Let me post his link here. Give me a second. If you like Italian music, has nothing to do with Linux. It's salvatorpate.bandcamp.com. Some of the songs he sings, others he paid someone to sing. One of my favorite songs from my dad is the Oh Hey I'm Screwed song on the Bandcamp page. Very catchy, uplifting song to say the least. Check it out. Joe, if you like Italian stuff. When Metal Music says, on TV when I was a kid, I loved watching Italian cooks make spaghetti bolognese with all that meat and sauce. Oh yeah, and olives. Oh yeah. Oh man, I'm getting hungry already. Oh, stop it! It's too late to eat. It's midnight. Sure. Actually, tomorrow is my son's birthday. I'm taking him and his mom out to a local Italian restaurant. So, speaking of Italian food, that's coming up in about 14 hours for me. See, what you do is first you cook the spaghetti, Joe, and then you got to make the sauce. So what you do is you get a couple cans of regular sauce, no salt. You pour it in a saucepan. And then you shove in some olive oil, your mushrooms, your meatballs, maybe some garlic powder. See what I'm saying? Now you got something there, yeah. Sorry, that's my New York stuff popping out of me. Let me look at the stats for OBS. Not bad. Very few dropped frames in OBS. You guys haven't complained about the stream, so another stellar night for Linux Mint, running pretty much flawlessly on a Lenovo desktop from 2011. Amazing, the power of Linux. It's got power. Yes, Governor Schwarzenegger, it's got power. All right, it is after midnight local time. Anything else, guys, before we wrap this up? Any last topics, requests, suggestions? Because it's time for bed. I'm going to have a fairly long day tomorrow. I'm taking the ex-missus and the son out for his birthday, and hopefully that'll be... The doctor's in the house. Doctor 66. How are you, Doc? It's been a while. Greetings and welcome. My original joke when I started off the show was I was so proud of myself yesterday. I jogged 5 kilometers. But I was kind of pissed off because the ice cream truck wouldn't stop. Yeah. I have to buy some ice cream tomorrow. I love fudge sticks with peanuts in it and Klondikes, mint Klondikes. They're very good. So, Doc, how you been? I know it's been a while. I know you came in late, but you can replay this. I just talked about, praising my red wine, not the Linux wine, but the real wine. Talking about why we only had the 1 year of the Linux desktop. That was during the pandemic. You'll have to replay the stream to find out when that was and what it was. It has not been repeated since. It was for 1 year, but it happened. Yeah, you're overseas, right? If I recall, isn't it? What time is it there? 5 o'clock? I forget where you're from. I know it's not in the States. Sorry, I forget, Doc. Anyway, yeah. Rossi, we need more of these late night runs. Will you ever get on a schedule again? That depends if I can find any people who would like to sponsor. See, before pre-pandemic, we would have like anonymous sponsored donations. And once I got that, I would put it on the schedule, but that hasn't happened post-pandemic. I know people getting back to normal and all that. I totally get it. And this is not that, this is not a channel with 1 million subscribers. I totally get it. But that's the main reason why I'm not on the schedule, because there's just, honestly, if I had to be perfectly honest, there is no demand to be running a schedule. Kind of sucks, to be quite honest, but if nobody requests it, I'm going to do my thing, spend time with family, especially more in the summer. But yeah, if there's a donation for a sponsored video or a topic, of course I will do it. Absolutely. Oh, wow. 2:05 p.m. there, Metal Music? Okay. In the UK. Okay. Wilshire, Doc. Gotcha. Well, I do appreciate you stopping in. Pre-pandemic, I think, Doc, you were on once or twice live, I think, for the Thank Toss It's Friday shows, if I recall. I know it's been a while. All right. Is there anything else before we wrap this up for tonight? All right. Well, like I said, it's past midnight here. I'm going to hit the sack, as it were. I've had 2 glasses. I almost said 2 bottles of wine, huh? It's 2 glasses of wine. I want to call it a night. But yes, Doc, I do remember the Thank Toss for this Friday show hangouts. I really do miss doing those. Maybe I could bring those back. I would love to. Anyway, that's all I have for this one. Great to have everybody here. Again, if you missed any of this, you can replay it. I will post the edited, no ads version of these on the Patreon page, and the edited versions if you're a member of the channel and all that. And anyway, that's it. Have a good night, day. I'll catch you on the next one. Arrivederci and cent'anni. Take care.